Hi everyone, thank you for having me. Yes, so I'm Robert, and I'm a narrative coach, as Rowan explained. And it was whilst doing a master's in 2013 in environmental policy that I realised I didn't want to be in the environmental sector anymore, and nor did I want to go into academia. And the reason for that was, whilst I really enjoyed my master's, I felt that for a year I'd been learning a new language, a quite esoteric language that involved pickings of French philosophy with philosophical geography to create a language of many new words I've never heard of before, which I found difficult to communicate to anyone outside of my group of 30 fellow master's students. So I was a little bit like, gosh, I can't quite see how this is relevant to these broader issues that I've been campaigning in before that. However, it was doing this master's that I rediscovered my love of writing. So when I finished in the summer of 2013, I was like, I'd love to become a writer, which is a journey I'm still on. And on the way, I found oral storytelling, so traditional storytelling techniques, as well as novel writing and short story writing. And I also rediscovered Ursula Le Guin, who is my favourite writer, and she writes fantasy and sci-fi. And one of her famous fantasy series is that of Earthsea, which is set in a mystical archipelago on which one of the islands is called the Island of Roke, on which is the School of Roke, and their young mages go to the school to learn magic to become super powerful magicians. And Ursula Le Guin invented this in the 70s, so the School of Roke existed long before Hogwarts. And the reason I'm bringing Ursula Le Guin to the talk is because I'd like to base the next 15 minutes on one of her quotes, which is this: that truth is a matter of the imagination. The soundest fact may fail or prevail in the style of its telling. And I'm going to start with the second sentence: the soundest fact may fail or prevail in the style of its telling. And especially that last bit, the style of its telling. So when Le Guin is talking about facts, it's clear that communication is vital. But the irony is we've often assumed that facts speak for themselves, that something which is so obviously the case, so obviously true, can only but be believed. But I don't quite think it's as simple as that. Take the shape of the Earth, for example. If I said it's round, most of us are going to agree. But if this was a room of flat earthers who still exist, that simple comment about the roundness of the Earth would actually be highly contentious, and it wouldn't be a fact that spoke for itself. In fact, I don't think facts ever speak for themselves, and I think the only instances when they appear to, i.e. when someone readily accepts a fact, is when that person is already inclined to believe it, when their background, including education, politics, cultural, renders them sympathetic to that sort of fact, and when they trust the person telling them, and they trust the source of the fact, and when that fact fits with and doesn't threaten their worldview, as well as sitting comfortably within a larger web of beliefs and values and more facts. And I'd say that another reason why facts can't ever speak for themselves is because communication is always involved. Facts and truth are community endeavours that we all participate in. They are about people and understanding just as much as they are about words or numbers on a page. And another irony is that one way we love to communicate facts is to bombard people with them, to overwhelm them with data, statistics, information, and hope they'll take it on board. And I think we like this approach because we've been led to believe that the humans are glorified computers, that we are rational, cost-benefit maximizers who can step away from those pesky things called feelings and calculate the best option. Homo economicus, the human calculator, if you like. But I think something we all know, and this is possibly one of the reasons why we're here, is that I don't think it's quite that simple. I think that view of Homo economicus artificially separates reason and emotion and has them in separate domains as if they don't impact on each other. In essence, that the human mind is like a desert plain or a salt flat, a level playing field into which facts can just be input. But I disagree with that metaphor entirely, and I think the mind is much more like a mountainscape with soaring snow-covered peaks and deep valleys full of winding rivers and lush forests. And the peaks and troughs linking to our emotional experiences and our emotional memories in the past. Those brilliant experiences we've had in the past, but also those traumatic and very negative ones. And they not only do we remember them and they make up our past, but they make up the sort of person we are now, our present, which affects the decisions that we make as we go on in life. So this emotional landscape will alter and affect the emotional landscape that we'll inherit as we step into our future. Right now, for example, you might be nodding or shaking your head and that immediately suggests that what I'm saying is evoking a feeling of some sort, whether it's passionate agreement or disagreement or even mild ambivalence. There's still something going on there, and it's a feeling. And I argue that feelings are always involved. And whilst a fact certainly can yield an emotional response, we can be shocked, sad, and excited by a fact, I think there is a tool of communication far more robust in being able to establish and maintain an emotional connection between the communicator and their audience, and I think that's story. Stories engage our intellect and our feelings, eliciting emotional responses as they do. And emotional experiences are memorable, and those memories endure, which is why we're far more likely to remember a story than a shopping list. Take, for example, that awful trip to Sainsbury's you had last week where you're just rushing through, trying to get into your trolley, you bashed your trolley into one of the shelves, down came all those tins of tomato, out spilled the tomato sauce just everywhere. Meanwhile, along comes a security guard thinking that you're attacking people with tomato tins and they tackle you to the ground. That story is much more memorable than, say, the shopping list you had, which was, what was it? Was it pasta, bread, tomato, etc.? Stories consistently and over long periods of time engage our emotions. They climb the peaks and plumb the depth of our experiences and feelings. They engage with the human condition so well. And this brings us to the first sentence of Le Guin's quote, that truth is a matter of the imagination. And imagination has various definitions. The ability of the mind to be creative or resourceful, the faculty or action of forming new ideas or images or concepts of external objects not present to the senses. And the phrase, objects not present to the senses, is crucial because those objects can be fictional, like the Sainsbury's anecdote I just told you, or they can be factual, like Ursula Le Guin in her canon of work. So it's important to remember that when Le Guin says truth is a matter of the imagination, she is categorically not saying that truth is something that we just make up. What she's saying, though, is that fact, like fiction, depends on engaging the imagination. And this idea is even inherent in the etymology of the word imagination. It comes from the Old French imagination, I'm using my accent, which means on the one hand concept and mental image, and on the other hallucination, which comes from the Latin imago, an image, copy, imitation, likeness, or a phantom, ghost, apparition. And I think there's a lovely dichotomy in the etymology there, which has copy and likeness on one side, and then hallucination and ghost on the other, revealing that both truth and falsity are inherent in our understanding of what the imagination is. And that's the problem, truth and falsity. And the truth of the matter is that many people lie. Say, a political example could be £350 million to the NHS every vote leave, for example. People love crafting alternative truths, they spin their stories and say things that aren't true for all sorts of different reasons. And our task, as Patrick made clear, as it always has been, is to sort the lies from the truth as best we can. Regardless of this, however, I don't think we have suddenly started living in a post-truth world. I don't believe people have suddenly dumped reason and decided to engage in a long-term relationship with alternative facts. No, I think that all sorts of different people have believed all sorts of different things for so many different reasons. Some people love the EU, others hate the EU. Some are feminists, some are self-professed anti-feminists. Some think the world is round and some still think it's flat. And people have believed these things long before Trump got into power. But the reason I think that maybe many of us are concerned at the moment isn't that everyone else has just given up on common sense. It's that as a new set of politicians have come to power in the West, so they're promoting a new set of facts and values, some that many of us might find deeply disturbing. There are things we can't, perhaps as a liberal, centrist kind of group, we cannot take for granted anymore. That, for example, a president of the US won't be openly sexist. We can't take that for granted anymore. And if we are in that camp of being slightly worried, there are many options of what we could do next. We could, for example, throw our hands up in the air, just despair. Or we could get really, really angry and shout at those mad people who voted for so-and-so and believe all sorts of bizarre things. But I think both those responses slightly miss the point, because people believe things for many different reasons, and our task is to understand those reasons, to get to know people and come to understand why and how they might believe very different things to us. So unlike as the Red Queen in Alice in Wonderland boasts to Alice that she can believe 6 impossible things before breakfast, what I think our task today is to believe perhaps 6,000 or 6 million impossible things before breakfast, and realizing that all those different people who hold those contradictory beliefs, all those beliefs are simultaneously true. However, one thing I'm not saying is that truth is relative. I personally don't think flat Earth arguments deserve the same amount of viewing time on the BBC as round Earth arguments, but I very much know flat Earthers would disagree with me. But what I am saying, what I think is important to remember, is that the truths out there are many and varied. And if we want to change people's minds, if that's what we're in the business of, we're going to have to get imaginative. We cannot just ignore others, ignore the flat earthers, for example, and hope they'll go away. Nor would I say, should we just shout at them or patronise them, assuming that if they don't take the facts at face value, then they're a bunch of idiots. No, I think we're going to have to connect with people as people, to build trust and foster new forms of community. Because otherwise, why would anyone want to change their mind if they only feel threatened from the opposite camp? And one way, of course, to do this is with stories, which humanise us as people and can bring our research to life. And crucially, they nurture the most fundamental of human skills, which is empathy. The ability to be able to put ourselves in the shoes of someone else, to be able to see the world as they do. And whilst we can empathise with others in their lives, so we can share our stories and help them empathise with us. In essence, this is called relationship building, or just making friends. And it's as simple and as difficult as that. So I'm certainly not here pretending that stories are a silver bullet and that they'll solve all the problems, but I think they can be a tool we can add to our repertoire to ensure our research and our facts and our evidence does more than just speak when we communicate it, but it sings and it soars and engages other people's minds in emotional, compelling and memorable ways. And talking of memorable, well, let's go back to Ursula Le Guin and that school of magic on the island of Rope. And do you know something that the wizards learn there, vital to ensuring that they can become successful weavers of magic? Well, they learn words, because the wizards know that words are powerful and words are magical. And at least that's the story Ursula Le Guin tells, and one I choose to believe. Thank you.